The queens enter the workroom, starting with Celestia, who is holding Zip in front of her, with him squirming in her hands. Venti asks if he promises to keep his feet off the table, and he nods, getting Celestia to release him onto the ground. Zip promptly jumps onto the table and starts dancing. The queens sigh.
It's a new day in the workroom, and I'm riding high. Or, I suppose I'm riding top 2? Sure, I didn't win last week's challenge, but I was damn close. And I'm ready for whatever challenge is up next too. Just wait and see.
Dear God. Zip is honestly the only thing that all of us collectively agree on. He's a complete sweetheart. But if he doesn't get his toes off that table, I'm going to pitch him like a baseball. I've put garments worth thousands on this table, and Zip doesn't wear socks. I about can't take it. That being said, I'm kinda rooting for the little guy.
While Zip dances, Spinel asks the room who they think the top 4 are out of this room. Arsène laughs, and says that someone is feeling shady today, and Spinel smirks. Venti says that he sees himself, Arsène, Spinel, and Camilla. Zip sticks his tongue out at Venti, and says he sees himself, Venti, Celestia, and Arsène. Camilla says that she thinks any of them could make it, but that she thinks herself, Spinel, Venti, and Celestia will make it, and Spinel agrees with her. Arsène gasps, and asks how they couldn't include him, and Camilla playfully says that it's a matter of time before he's disqualified for taking conjugal visits. The queens laugh.
I'm more than okay with being underestimated, because it keeps the looky-loos out of my station. Myself and Camilla are the only queens who have yet to lip-sync for our life, but I have a much stronger track record. No shade to Camilla, of course, I see her in the top 2 with me. But if the queens listened to the critiques, they'd be taking me a bit more seriously. So I'm happy that they apparently aren't.
Arsène says that himself, Celestia, Camilla, and Venti will make it, because he believes them to be the most versatile queens here. Elisa scoffs, and Arsène immediately says here we go, asking her what the problem is now. Elisa says that none of them included her, despite her having 2 wins and one of the best track records. Arsène takes a deep breath, but before he starts to come for Elisa, Zip starts singing an improvised song and tap dancing, ending the number by jumping into Elisa's arms.
Operation, distract everyone from screaming and fighting by being adorable, go. It seems to have worked. The other queens are laughing, Elisa is smiling, and Arsène seems to have moved on from what he was planning on doing. I'm sorry to the viewers and the production team, I know you both want screaming and crying, but there's been so much of it. I want my friends to get along.
Well, hello again to our lovely top 7. It's nice to see you all again. But I think it's time that some of you get chopped.
Oh, she got straight to the point. I'm here for it. Chop all of these bitches immediately.
But first, let's get into today's mini challenge. You'll each have 5 minutes to get into quick drag as the eliminated queen of your choice, and do a quick improvised impersonation of them. Get to it.
Zip won the mini challenge.
This is so exciting, but whatever power comes with it, I'm not gonna be shady. I think it's best for everyone if we get what we'd like, there'll be a better show.
Congratulations, Zip. I have a feeling Ione will have something to say about that impersonation, but oh well. In this week's maxi challenge, Manila is burning. Each of you will have to choreograph and perform a dance number, highlighting one of the styles, or one of the elements of Vogue Femme. Old way, new way, hand performance, catwalk, duck walk, floor performance, and spins and dips. Zip, as the winner of the mini challenge, it's your responsibility to assign for each queen.
Oh, thank God Zip won this. Can you imagine if it was Elisa, or God forbid, Celestia? I'll have to make sure to ask Zip before anyone else. I know what I want to do. You know, I haven't mentioned this yet, but many years ago before I started drag I was actually in the ballroom scene. I spent my time as a free agent, never joined a house, but I credit that part of my life with making me such a strong performer. I won't lie, I think I've been robbed twice in a row now. But this week I'll give them a performance they can't deny the win to, period.
The queens gather to be assigned their styles and elements. Before anyone else can speak, Venti asks Zip if he can take spins and dips. Zip looks at Celestia, who nods, and he agrees to give that element to Venti.
I appreciate Zip discreetly checking with me first, since he was probably planning on asking me what I wanted before Venti chimed in. Look, I'm a cold bitch, but that damn kid warms my cold bitch heart just enough for me to not hate him. We protect each other, and I've never had someone protect me before. I value him a lot.
Zip asks Celestia which style or element she'd like, and she asks for hand performance. Zip nods. He then asks if anybody else has requests, to which Arsene says he'd like to take Old Way. The other queens flash a look at him, and Venti asks if he's sure, saying that it's very difficult to perform Old Way Vogue well without training, and he might end up looking like an amateur. Arsene nods, saying that this late in the competition there's no room to play it safe. Camilla compliments his bravery.
I've never taken a voguing class or been to a ball, but I've been a dancer all my life, and I trust that I'll be able to get this down by the time we have to perform. We all heard Kagamine Len, I was born to do drag. Well, I think I was born to win more than one damn challenge. I know this is a risk, but I'm willing to take it.
Spinel asks if she can perform New Way, since it'll let her show off her flexibility. Zip agrees. Camilla asks if he's gonna be shady yet, and Zip laughs and says no, he'd like everyone to have something they're comfortable performing to. She then asks if she can have floor performance, to which Zip agrees.
This'll be fun. I wouldn't call myself a dancer, but I love the ballroom scene, so I've been to plenty of balls just to watch. My baby brother, oh, he'd hate me calling him that, but I can't help it. Anyway, my baby brother Leo is a ballroom star. He's taught me the basics to prepare for the show, and I think that if I really sex it up I could have a real chance this week despite not being a proper dancer. Floor performance is perfect for that.
Zip asks Elisa which of the two remaining she'd like, and then his face drops as he realizes that he hadn't given himself anything yet. Celestia asks if he's okay, but Zip doesn't respond, just panicking and pacing in circles on the table. Celestia grabs him and holds him still, saying whatever's wrong, it'll be fine, and she can help him. Zip calms down, and smiles at her, before asking Elisa which of the remaining elements she'd like. Celestia gasps.
Damn it, Zip, are you dense? Why wouldn't you choose whichever of the two you're better at? That was your last chance. Ah, why did my friend here have to be the dumb one? Oh my god, Zip, if you see this, I'm sorry for calling you dumb. It's fine, we'll work on whatever he gets together.
Elisa sighs, and asks which one he would like instead. Camilla's jaw drops, and Elisa snaps her head at her, telling her to pick up her jaw and stop gawking. Arsene laughs, and says there's the bitch they know.
I guess Elisa is capable of being nice once or twice. I mean, if anyone was gonna crack her, it'd be Zip.
I know, this isn't the best strategy. But as everyone here knows, Vogue Femme is actually one of my specialties. I was a part of ballroom before I even started modeling and drag. I'm gonna slay regardless, and Zip had the chance to sabotage me by giving me one of the two I'm not an expert in, Old Way or New Way. I mean, I could do them, but I don't prefer them. He didn't make me, so I may as well help him out. Don't make a deal about it.
Zip smiles up at Elisa, and says he thinks that of the two left he'll have more luck with Duckwalk. Elisa says she'll take Catwalk then, and Zip nods, thanking her, before jumping up to hug her. She immediately steps back out of the way, causing Zip to fall face first onto the ground. The queens laugh.
Okay, that one hurt. But the other queens seem to be having a good time, even Elisa. My work here is done. I'm like the one-man cheer factory of this workroom. If I keep this up we'll be getting along in no time flat.
The queens break up into groups to start planning their choreography. Celestia and Zip are both struggling to get anything done. Zip sits down on the table and sighs, saying that they aren't going to be able to succeed without some help. Celestia rolls her eyes, and asks who exactly is going to help them. Zip smiles and jumps off of the table, running over to Spinel and Venti's station.
Oh god, what's this gonna be? I have a lot of trouble telling Zip no. If he asks for something it might get in the way of my practicing.
Zip brings Celestia with him, and asks Spinel if she can take a break from her practice to help them with their performances. Spinel shakes her head, saying she doesn't really have time and has to finish her own choreography. Zip asks again, jumping up and down, and Spinel finally relents. But she adds that she's going to help Zip, not Celestia. Zip frowns, and says that Celestia needs help more than he does. Spinel looks at him, and says that she respects that he's willing to be friends with Celestia, but that Spinel can't get over the things Celestia has done, and she won't help her. Celestia says that she doesn't want help from Spinel regardless, and only came over here because Zip did and she thought she could handle the stench for 5 minutes. She then storms back to her station. Zip apologizes to Spinel before chasing Celestia.
I think Celestia would have an easier time here if she would just swallow her pride and apologize. I feel like there's a joke about her being a whore in there somewhere, but I can't think of it. Oh well, you get it. I don't think she'll be apologizing anytime soon regardless.
Zip asks why Celestia blew up like that, saying that if she just let him talk to Spinel he could have convinced her to help. Celestia responds that she isn't going to debase herself, and she can improve on her own. Zip asks if that means he should leave, and Celestia quickly pauses, and says that he shouldn't leave. She then composes herself and says that they should just work on their choreo together, and Zip smiles at her. Elisa walks to Arsene's station, where he and Camilla are working, and asks how his old way choreography is going. He replies that it's going well, and he thinks it might be his win this week, but that Camilla and Elisa are definitely big competition. Camilla laughs, and says that she's flattered, but that all she's trying to do this week is place in the top because there's no way she wins the challenge. Elisa says that as hesitant as she is to throw out compliments, she thinks Camilla should have some more confidence, because she's been on quite the upswing lately. Camilla thanks her.
I appreciate Elisa for saying that. I'm hoping that this is sort of a good omen for her. Ever since her fight with Celestia she's been incredibly on edge, but she seems really chilled out this week. Darling, I just hope this lasts and isn't just a calm before the storm, because I fear that if she gets riled up like that again it'll be a distraction for everyone. Maybe she's like Spinel, and she just needs a bit of sisterhood to come back into her own. But I doubt it.
Arsene asks Elisa if she'd look over his choreography for the challenge, since he knows that she comes from ballroom and will be able to critique him well. Elisa agrees, and sits back while Arsene performs what he's done so far.
I'm putting on a show in the workroom, going through each of my steps, and the other girls look impressed. But as I get into the high point of my performance, out of nowhere I trip on air, and, well.
Elisa and Camilla are cheering for Arsene's performance, when suddenly he trips backwards and falls hard, hitting off of the table. Camilla gasps, and rushes to help him up while Elisa fetches a production member.
Oh wow, that was rough. Doesn't look good. I hope he's okay, genuinely, but am I a terrible person for saying that this might increase my chance of winning? I mean, that performance was really clean. I'm not sure I believe he's a beginner anymore. Regardless, that really looked like it hurt.
Arsene stands up and dusts himself off, telling the PA that he's alright, and goes back to practicing his choreo. But when he stumbles again, they tell him that he has to take a break and leave the set. He finally agrees, and goes with them.
What the hell just happened? Arsene was looking like he'd win the challenge, but this might keep him from doing so. That's gotta be so frustrating for him. I want to say that this'll open the win up for me, but I don't want to win because of this. I hope he manages to push through and take this week's challenge over me or Elisa. He deserves it.
Arsene is brought back into the workroom after some time, and the challenge begins on the main stage.
Hello my loves, and welcome to Cartoon Drag Race Philippines. I'm one of your beloved hosts, Kagamane Len. Please welcome your beautiful judging panel this week. The other half of our sickening judging duo, it's Kagamane Rin. And ballroom icon, she is Sailor Moon. In tonight's Maxi Challenge, the queens were tasked with creating and performing a Vogue performance highlighting one of the styles or elements of Vogue. And tonight on the runway, category is high fashion streetwear. Without further ado, let's begin.
Elisa and Arsene slayed the challenge.
I had less rehearsal time than the other girls, and I had to push through the pain a bit. But the judges were screaming for me. I brought it the old way, and you couldn't tell that it was my first time. I hope the rest of the queens weren't expecting that workroom incident to hold me back. I'm strong as hell. And if you were worried, viewers, don't be. I'm fully healthy. The crew checked me out and said that I could go put on my performance.
I was born for this challenge. Catwalk is perfect. I mean, I'm a literal model. I infused classic Vogue femme catwalk with my own personal flair, and while I focused on catwalk, I brought in all 5 elements of Vogue femme to really put on a show. Even the queens in the back waiting their turn were cheering for me, even though those bitches can't stand me. This is my win.
Spinel was great in the challenge.
I'm a bit worried this week. I think I might be in the bottom, or at least low. Elisa, Arsene, and Camilla really impressed me this week, especially Elisa. And since there's only a few of us left, when there's at least a few people that I consider above me, I worry that I could be at risk. But we've seen how I lip sync. I've won 5 lip syncs against 6 queens this season. If it comes down to it, I'm ready to lip sync for my life.
Camilla and Venti were good in the challenge.
I'm so frustrated. I was doing great, nearly as good as Elisa did, and the judges were living. Sailor Moon even stood up to cheer for me. Then, right at the end, I failed the 360. Every part of that performance was leading up to my 360 dip at the end, and it was a total failure. I basically flopped onto the ground like a beached whale. I'm humiliated. It's up to my runway to save me from the bottom this week. Worst case scenario, I'll have to send a bitch packing like I did to Nikolai. I'm not scared.
Zip was bad in the challenge. Celestia Ludenberg flopped the challenge.
I don't want to talk about it. Me and Zip spent the whole time practicing, and even after all of that I ended up looking uncoordinated and ridiculous. I'm not going to pretend like I'm not at risk this week. I do think my runway could pull me ahead a bit, maybe into a low placement. I'm not sure that I could beat Venti in a lip sync, but trust and believe that if I have to, I will. I'm not leaving.
Venti and Arsene were great on the runway.
This is my last chance to keep myself safe this week, and I'm doing the absolute most. I didn't just wear this amazing look and walk like normal, I really sold it, and I put on a bit of a show. I'm not sure if it was enough, but here's hoping.
Zip, Spinel, Camilla, and Elisa were good on the runway.
I'm really happy with my runway this week. Less happy with my performance, but I think I did pretty well all things considered. If I'm honest, I spent significantly more time trying to help Celestia than working on my own routine. I'm a strong dancer, if I put my mind to it I could have succeeded. But I couldn't let Celestia fall on her face without at least trying to help. I'm just hoping I won't be in the bottom.
Celestia Ludenberg was bad on the runway.
My queens, I have made some decisions. Camilla, you're safe, you may leave the stage. The rest of you are the tops and the bottoms of the week. Now, let's get into the critiques. Venti, please step forward.
I had high hopes for you this week, Venti, and I think you had a strong chance at being in the top, or at worst safe. But you failed the 360. That is a cardinal sin in a challenge like this. It might seem like I'm harping on you for one thing, but that was the punctuating moment of your performance, and it was an important thing to showcase regarding your element.
My sister said most of what I had to say, so I just want to add that you need to make sure that you're always on while performing. All of this week, from the workroom to the challenge, you've looked defeated in the face. The audience can clock that, as judges can clock that. And that's not Venti. I don't know what's going on that has you like this, but get yourself together. If you don't, you're gonna be out that door before you know it.
As you all may know, I've attained icon status in ballroom. I know what I'm talking about, and I could tell that you're more experienced with Vogue than almost anyone here. Unlike the other judges, I want to commend you for your performance. You didn't hit the 360, but I don't think it's because you weren't capable, you just messed up at a bad time. But what Kagame Len said about your expression and attitude, I have to agree with. You can't let us see you crack, figure out what's causing it and squash it right now.
Arsene, please step forward.
We all heard about what happened in the workroom, with that fall. I'm glad to see that you're okay and able to keep performing, and I'm baffled that you were able to turn out the performance like you did. This is the Arsene we've become obsessed with over the past episodes. You've been unshakable, and I commend that.
There were a couple moments in your performance that were a bit shaky, it seemed like you almost lost your footing, but you never did. You always did what you needed to do, and in those few shaky moments, you never let us see that struggle in your eyes. The level of professionalism was very impressive. And tonight on the runway, you looked great. You could have done the typical Arsene style, but you actually really surprised me with this one. Going into more of a Harajuku style, which is something I've never seen from you. You're the one to beat right now.
I refuse to believe that this was your first time dancing Old Way Vogue. I just don't believe you. You were totally a natural. Old Way isn't my specialty. If there's anyone in my house that could do it at a high level, it would be Saturn. But I am capable of seeing the cleanliness in your performance. You really were made for the stage, and I'm thrilled I got to see you in your element like this. Fantastic job.
Celestia Ludenberg, please step forward.
Celestia, I was very unimpressed by your performance this week. I know you aren't a dancer, but in the past you've managed to overcome and impress us in challenges that weren't up your alley, and that was what we loved most about you here. But on the stage tonight you were offbeat, boring, and uncontrolled. And on the runway you looked like a disaster. If you aren't lip-syncing this week, someone's getting fired.
This is the worst train wreck since Ione in the Snatch Game. What the hell were you doing the whole time in the workroom? I understand that Vogue is one of the dance styles with the steepest learning curve, and I know that you aren't a dancer. But girl, you need to adapt, and I thought that was what you did best. I'm very disappointed in you.
There was no symmetry in your movements, you were completely offbeat, you crashed your hands together several times. It gave me very much, a toddler washing a car window. And don't get me started on the runway. The prompt was streetwear, not AliExpress. This is not the level of drag that I expect to see at the top 7, this is what I'd expect from an early out.
Elisa, please step forward.
I absolutely loved you in the challenge. I could tell this is what you excel at, and that you earned your keep in the community. Tonight on the runway, I do wish you had done a bit more of what the prompt described. This was more high fashion than streetwear, and I know that it's possible to mix those effectively, but it didn't fit the brief too well to me. Fantastic showing regardless.
I agree that the runway could have focused more on streetwear, but I liked it a lot either way. And I think you had the strongest overall showing. You didn't miss a single beat, every part of it was perfect. Also, can I just say, I don't think we've brought up your hairography before. And that's a crime, because it's mesmerizing. Both on the runway and every time you perform, you make every strand of hair count, and nobody does that like you. Fierce as hell.
You did more than anybody else this week. You put a focus on catwalk like the challenge brief said to, but you brought in all 5 elements of Vogue Femme as well, and put on a complete show. I know that you're extremely well known in both drag and ballroom, and personally, I'd give you the win this week. You impressed me so much, and you deserve your flowers, Elisa.
Zip, please step forward.
Last week you showed us the form of Zip that earned his place in this competition. This week, you showed us the Zip that went home in episode 1. There's a level of consistency that you have to attain to last in this competition, and I'm not confident that you have that consistency. When you come back to the workroom after being gone so long, you have to impress us every week. You just didn't really impress me this week, and it hurts to say so.
One positive thing I have for you is that you infuse your unique personality in everything you do. Even when you made a mistake, your face looked like you were having the time of your life, and on the runway you brought your persona to the stage. The look wasn't fantastic, I mean it was solid, but really all I was paying attention to was the way you sold it. It's clear that you bring a lot of light to the workroom, you just have to work on your consistency.
Zip, I really have to ask, why exactly did you go for duck walk when you have knees made of rock and stone? I sympathize, you have small legs and not much to work with there, and duck walk is one of the harder elements to learn quickly. But you knew all of that going in, and that was just poor planning. It felt amateur, probably because it was. I think you have potential, but you didn't show that.
Spinel, please step forward.
You seemed nervous in your performance, and I don't understand why. Spinel, you were fantastic. I mean the things you can do with your body are so amazing to watch. You're such a unique queen, there are things you're capable of that nobody else is, and you infused it into your choreography tonight.
Week after week, you're always a standout for all the right reasons. I'm absolutely obsessed, every week I'm looking forward to seeing what Spinel will bring to the stage next. I want to see more confidence from you, because even when you don't seem as nervous as you do today, you never seem fully confident in your abilities. You're a fantastic queen, I need you to think it as much as we do.
I didn't watch the episodes before my guest judging, because I wanted to come in with a clean slate and not have any preconceived biases. But I was told a few things by Saturn before I knew I'd be on, and I was told that you weren't much of a delight on set and that you weren't succeeding in the challenges. It seems like you've done a complete 3-point turn. I loved you in the challenge tonight, and I hope to see you go farther.
Alright my queens, now that we've let you know our thoughts, it's time to let you know your placements this week. Spinel, you were strong this week, but you lacked confidence. Chin up, queen, but great job this week, you're safe. You may leave the stage.
The judges definitely clocked my tea about my lack of confidence. I like to think I project that I'm confident, but knowing how I was at the start of the competition, knowing that my track record is still not one of the best even after my third win, knowing that it only takes one slip up to go home. It's all weighing on me, but I have to shake it. I belong here, and this top placement is just even more proof of that. You can do it, Spinel.
Elisa, tonight you set the stage on fire, and gave the performance of a lifetime. Arsene, you worked through the pain and gave an expert-level performance. Arsene, you are the winner of this week's challenge.
Yes. I was worried that the shakiness from my injury would give the win to Elisa, but I pushed through, and I earned it. Right now, in terms of track record, I'm miles above the rest of these queens. Can we just fast-track this and give me the damn crown?
Elisa, great job this week, you're safe. You may leave the stage.
I do think that I was robbed. Arsene was amazing, especially considering that he was injured. But he had a couple of negative critiques, because the injury did hold him back at times. I had no negative critiques. I should have won this week's challenge, but I'll just have to work twice as hard to win the next one. You can't crack me, got it?
Celestia Ludenberg, from start to finish, you disappointed us this week. I'm sorry my dear, but you are up for elimination.
I mean, she deserves it. She was god-awful and I'm glad they told her about herself. If it's me next to her, I'll be thrilled to send her packing.
Zip, you brought us in with your personality, but so far you lack the consistency necessary to be the Philippines' next drag superstar. Venti, you had a strong performance at the start of the challenge, but you couldn't stick the landing, and we could tell you lacked nerve. Zip, I'm sorry my dear, but you are up for elimination. Venti, you're safe, you may leave the stage.
The time has come for you to lip sync for your life.
Oh god, I have to lip sync against my close friend here once again. But this isn't like the first time. I love Celestia to death, but I can't waste this opportunity again like I did against Sato. Celestia, my sister, you're going down.
I expected to be in the bottom, but I didn't expect to be next to Zip. I don't want this, but I won't let it shake me. This song is emotional, it isn't about tricks and flips. I'm ready to do what needs to be done to stay here. I love you Zip, I'll see you after the season ends, and I'll greet you with a crown on my head.
Good luck, and don't fuck it up.
The lip sync song is I Kissed Someone, It Wasn't You, by Dodie. Celestia Ludenberg had a great lip sync. Zip had a bad lip sync.
My queens, I have made my decision. Celestia Ludenberg. Shantae, you stay. You may leave the stage. Zip, my dear. Sashay, away.
A production assistant approaches the judges panel to deliver Kagamane Len a message.
Oh, I see. Arsene, please step forward.
What the hell is going on? Are they pulling him on stage to say they made a mistake and transfer this week's win to me? Perhaps.
Arsene, earlier in the workroom, you sustained a major injury to your ankle and knee. You managed to push through it, and you won this week's challenge. But we followed up with a doctor, and as it turns out, you need time to heal. You cannot continue in this competition. I'm sorry my dear, but I must ask you to sashay away.
This is heartbreaking. I've worked so hard in my time here, and when I start to step into the spotlight, I go home like this. But I know that I've made my mark in this competition, and this is just the start of a big opportunity for me. The world will know my name. And my body.
This is Untucked.
The queens enter Untucked, with Camilla immediately taking off her corset and laying on the ground.
Bitch, I need to decompress. Kagamane twins, you were stressing a bitch out. I broke my streak of top placements which was frustrating, but that was okay. Then Zip went home, which was upsetting, but it made sense. But then they pull Arsene up on stage, and they tell him he has to leave due to injury. Never in the 20 seasons of Cartoon Drag Race has that ever happened. Arsene was far and away the frontrunner, and he was my rock in this competition. I'll move past it, but this is a hard one, darlings.
The queens stay silent for several seconds, before eventually Venti breaks the silence by congratulating Celestia for surviving the lip sync. Celestia doesn't reply, just staring at the wall, and Venti just takes a sip of his drink.
Oh girl, Celestia is cracked. We've seen her mad, we've seen her scheming, but we haven't seen this before. I'm nervous, what if she finally snaps and kills one of us? I volunteer Elisa.
Spinel asks the room how they feel about making top 5, and Elisa says that it feels correct, especially since with Arsène going home she now has the strongest track record. Spinel says that she's proud about getting here, but that after what the judges said she knows she'll have to work even harder. Camilla scoffs, and says that Spinel missed the entire point of their critique, asking if she has some kind of selective hearing. Spinel looks shocked.
Damn girl, coming after me out of nowhere. Me and Camilla are friends. I'm sure she's just being playful or something. But what does she mean? The judges told me that I never seem confident in my abilities, and that I have to fix that. I'm not doing all that I can do to stay here, clearly, and I just have to work harder.
Camilla sits up, and says that the critique wasn't that she isn't doing enough, or that she isn't working hard enough. It was that no matter how amazing she is, Spinel is never confident in herself, and that if she doesn't overcome that she'll psych herself out and get sent home. Spinel blinks a bit, thinking about what Camilla said.
I love Spinel so much. Over the course of the competition, she's grown so much as both a person and a drag queen. I consider her as family, and with family, sometimes you just have to tell them like it is. She's letting the judges' critiques shake her, instead of actually focusing in on what they're saying. The judges have been obsessed with Spinel lately, and they're trying to help her be the best that she can be. I just really hope she can understand that before it's too late.
Suddenly, the queen's conversation stops when they hear Celestia starting to tear up, and see her wiping her face. Spinel turns to her, asking if she's alright, but Celestia quickly stands up and leaves Untucked, mumbling that she has to go think. The queens seem confused, but shrug it off, and they toast to making the top 5 together.